life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall, says F. Scott Fitzgerald. So why don't you take that quote right there, put it in your Instagram bio, and then proceed not to live by it, like most of the influencers and Instagram models and other social media personalities who drape a quote across the bio of their profile and then expect us to believe, oh, what a philosophical thinker. You know what this woman is smart, has a huge ass, and is very intelligent. Is that the case? I don't know. I'll leave that for you people to debate. But Mr. Fitzgerald was absolutely right about something. Last night I had my hometown draft, and after the draft it was 61 degrees, and I felt it entering me. I felt the poltergeist enter me. Fall is here. No one ever talked about fall on Game of Thrones. You want to know why? Because it belongs to House Francess. Like Jeepers Creepers, who after every 25 years he gets to spring up and eat for 25 days. It's not that drastic. But now that the summer's over, I get to eat straight from now, directly through the summer. We got the NFL starting this week. We got opening night, which I'm going to be giving some sniffs for right here in this video. And then obviously next month, we got the NHL starting. And are you going to say it? Are you going to say it? Oh, Andy, I'm not here for your NFL picks. Like, no, I only want your hockey picks. Know your role, shut your mouth, and look around. Every single year, the Sniffs and the studio get a little bigger, get a little better. You see that right there? You know what that is? That's the SCAM-tron. No, not the SCAM-tron, like those tests you used to take in high school that apparently only worked with number 2 pencils. Do you remember when they used to say that? Take out your number 2 pencils. Have you ever seen a number 6 pencil? Have you ever seen a pencil that didn't have the 2 on it? I don't even believe they exist. And if they did exist, I can guarantee you if you took a SCAM-tron test with a pencil that wasn't a number 2 pencil, it was coming through fine. It's not going to register an error. Any pencil's working on that SCAM-tron, and that's the last time I'll use that term because I'm not concerned about SCAM-trons anymore. Haven't been for a while. But this is the SCAM-tron, another addition to the bunkers here. Now let's go into this opening night game. But before I talk about my favorite picks in that game, I want to talk about something futures-wise that I've been holding back all summer. I couldn't tell you guys. I wanted to tell you guys, I promise. Some people on the Patreon I kind of tried to just whisper to, because if I told anybody, my miserable prick friends, if they knew I was this high on the guy, somebody, even if they didn't want him, would just take the guy in fantasy 2 rounds early just to screw me. And I really wanted him in that league, so I just kind of had to say tight-lipped about it. But now I will tell you before the season starts, because I know the majority of you. There's a reason I got a skull and bone behind me with a couple. I don't turn my back on you parlay pirates, so I'm going to start this season with a plus 4,000. Is that enough? Some of you people won't take a single bet unless it's going to change your life living in the suite at the Bellagio. So I'm going to start 2024, 2025 with a plus 4,000. How do you like it? And that is my flag plant player of the year. I don't want to hear any nonsense. I don't give a rat's ass what you think. This is my flag plant player of the year. A guy who just had 1,500 total yards in his second season in the NFL. Yet people aren't high. No, I got to see people like Josh Jacobs and Pacheco and all these guys drafted ahead of him, fully disrespected. I got him at plus 4,000 to lead the NFL in rushing. And that, my friends, is a Mr. James Cook, Jimmy Cook of the Buffalo Bills. Why would you, the Buffalo Bills? What about the, Josh Allen? And now, why don't you go take a look after they fired their offensive coordinator? Just take a look. Nobody gave their running backs more carries than the Buffalo Bills. But what about Diggs, right? They have Stephon Diggs. They got rid of both of their starting wide receivers and are replacing them with a draft pick and then loose change from around the league. Curtis Samuel, Valdez-Scantling. Yeah, I'm sure he'll be catching a ton of passes. This is James Cook's offense. And Josh Allen, you're going to tell me, but he likes to run a lot. Do quarterbacks who typically run more or less as they get older? Do they run into injuries more or less as they get older? Even if it doesn't, look at what James Cook did. He averages 5.7 yards per carry. He's a dynamic runner, and he will be their offense. Just want to remind you, nobody gave their running backs more handoffs than the Buffalo Bills. So if you tell me that, hasn't been injury plagued so far, I mean, he's only been in the league 2 years, I will guarantee you, barring injury, James Cook exceeds all of his season-long overs, crushes them. So if you want to do some milestone bets, go ahead. I believe he's 900 yards for the year. Take him for 1,000. Anyway, plus 4,000, most rushing yards in the NFL. But the one is a slam dunk. You don't even have to think about it. I will Vince McMahon guarantee. It sucks with running backs that it's just such an injury-prone position, but over 3.5 touchdowns? Oh, are you going to say Ray Davis, like the 4th-round pick that they picked this year? James Cook is the 2nd-round pick, draft capital in him, 1,500 yards, upped his workload. Ray Davis. That just sounds like a name who's not going to get in the way. Oh, who'd you draft? Ray Davis? Well, that's who they drafted. That's his competition. And just so you know from last year, no Latavius Murray, no Damian Harris. He's going to eat. And that's all I'll say. You can take what you want, but I'm overs across the board for James Cook, my flag plant player of the year. And now, before I get into the individual picks for the Chiefs game, I just want to mention, I mentioned this one in the futures video, the lone futures video that I did during the summer. But you got the Chiefs playing on opening night. You got the Eagles playing the following night. So this bet would have to be put in before opening night. But I really, really, really like it. So the Kansas City Chiefs, we just saw the worst year that you'll ever see from them. I mean, Tony, Valdez-Scantling, Sky, these guys were dropping everything. You're never going to see their offense be that bad again, especially with the additions that they made. They did all that and won the Super Bowl. On night 2, we're going to see the Philadelphia Eagles play. How did their season end? Just a full tailspin. They were the number 1 seed, then got crushed by San Francisco and proceeded to flame out, lose to the Cardinals during the last week of the season to lose home field advantage. Then it's, all right, well, at least they got Tampa in that playoff game. Got obliterated by Baker Mayfield in a playoff game. There was all the drama with the coach, with Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown. They lost their starting center. It's just so rare that you see a team go through something like that, and then it's like, yep, we just returned right back to our dominant ways. When you look at this 5-year sample size of Jalen Hurts, it seems like there's one outlier year where he tore it up, and all the other years kind of look the same. They lost that offensive coordinator from when they had that great team, and he kind of regressed last year, and you could say he was injured, but like I mentioned about players getting older and taking more hits, he looked very hesitant to run last year. And I wouldn't be surprised if it looks closer to last year than it did 2 years ago when he was a jackal running around most of the year until the end of the year, got popped, missed time, and he hasn't been as likely to run since. With all that said, a bet that I had mentioned earlier, the Kansas City Chiefs -1 wins over the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs should be nasty this year. Rashee Rice isn't getting suspended. They drafted a receiver, Xavier Worthy, in the 1st round. They traded for Hollywood Brown. So, I mean, now they have a full complement of receivers and are still going to be able to use Kelsey underneath. That's a squad, my friends. You obviously know how good their defense won them that Super Bowl. Look how far they held down these other teams, including the team that they're playing here on opening night, the Baltimore Ravens. And now let's get into that game. I forgot, where do you want to start? Because you Dans out there, or should I say you raw doggers? I got to say something. A couple of years ago, when I brought that up, I chuckled. I was like, someone called it raw. Whoever the original raw dogger was from 2 seasons ago, can't even remember if it was NFL, NHL. You really started something. The raw dogging has ascended into pop culture. Have you seen all these videos? All these I raw dogged my 8-hour plane ride. I kind of made fun of you at the time, I got to admit, whoever you are, and you better enjoy this because I don't compliment YouTube commenters very often. Whoever commented raw, enough with the props, enough with the this and that. Give me them raw dogs. You are onto something. You are ahead of your time, and I would like to commend you on that. So I guess as a way to say thank you, I'll start with a little raw dog if you just need a 9-to-5 deli pick. And that would be the Kansas City Chiefs. They've won 8 of their last 9 home openers, except for last year. Are the Chiefs going to win back-to-back Super Bowls and lose back-to-back opening nights? Man, I have a hard time seeing that happen. I really do. I mean, I will be very surprised, especially considering Mahomes' record against the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. The fact that the Ravens lost 3 of their 5 offensive linemen. And if you know a couple things about football, that is extremely important. The offensive line is massive. So that's a pretty big downgrade. They went from like a top 6 ranked offensive line to their currently ranked bottom 10, according to Pro Football Focus. We'll see how that pans out. But when you think about that Chiefs D, what they did to Lamar last year in the playoffs with their defensive line versus the good offensive line, this could set up well for the Chiefs. I'm going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. Regular guy, Kansas City Chiefs. Wait. To win or I'll do -2.5, but really only like them to win because I'm not focused on the generic raw dog pick. I'm focused on the things that I really do like. The first of which is the reason they were able to go on a little streak to end the year and play so well in the playoffs. A reliable wide receiver, one who's not going to be suspended, one who tore it up down the stretch last year, one who earned the coaching staff and Patrick Mahomes' trust, and that is Rashee Rice, who I guess maybe suspension next year, but if you look how he ended the year, every game, 5 catches, 6 catches, 6 catches. He was so nasty after the catch. And if you look at how teams have been defending Mahomes in the last 2 seasons, they're just putting safeties deep and they're making him beat you underneath. And now that, especially since they drafted Worthy, he's a bullet down the field. When they get Hollywood Brown back, he's a vertical player as well. Rice is going to eat this year, and I'm going to take his over on receiving yards. Rashee Rice, over 59.5 some sites, 60.5 on some other sites. But his over on receiving, probably my favorite play. But just today, I found one that I like equally as much, if not a little bit more, because of the ease at which this can hit. You guys might remember this one from the end of the year because we started just sprinkling it with hit. It hit, I think, in 5 straight to end the year. When you look at this offensive line of the Ravens and you look, no more Beckham over there, so you have a consolidated target tree. You have Derrick Henry, right, at running back. How many third downs does he play typically? How often does he play if a team is trailing by 10 points? In a game where they may be trailing, you're getting those Justice Hill third down plays. And we saw that. What did we take all those games? Justice Hill over on receiving. Now, it was getting up there to 11.5, 12.5, 13.5. But since this is week 1 and we have the Derrick Henry scare factor, we're getting Justice Hill 7.5 receiving yards. That's essentially 1 dink, max 2. He was getting 30 and 25 and 30 yards to end the year. We know that he earned Lamar Jackson's trust down the stretch. Week 1, I am a huge fan of choosing things that we know. Don't make me guess on this Xavier Worthy. Don't say, no, he's a bullet and he's going to catch a deer. How do you know? How do you know for sure? Let's see it unless we have seen it and we can sniff it, which is exactly what we saw. If this was just still Gus Edwards, we would be all over this Justice Hill. But no, Henry, the guy who never is on the field for third downs. We're getting one of those dinks. In fact, I think I just convinced myself that this is my favorite play. Justice Hill over 7.5 receiving yards against the Kansas City Chiefs, who I do think are going to win the game. And lastly, my final play on this game, I mentioned that The Ravens lost 3 offensive linemen. Now, they've always had good offensive lines. Like, you look at all these past 5-6 years. What typically happens when your offensive line gets worse? Let's play a little game called Random Things You Should Probably Know if you're betting on football. The line gets beat and the D-line gets penetration. What happens if a D-line gets penetration and it goes to sack the quarterback? What does the quarterback do? Oh, yes, he escapes, which is why I'm taking the over on Lamar Jackson 8.5 rushing attempts, which is already in the plus money. I really like that one too, but that is contingent because they say, the offensive line is going to be bottom 10 now. Pro Football Focus has it ranked as a bottom, but we still need to see it. How many times did they used to say the Patriots were going to have an awful offensive line and then they would never give up sacks to Brady? The problem is, if you wait sometimes to see something, you've now missed out on the great line. Over 8.5 rushing attempts for Lamar Jackson. And then, you know how I'm going to end it for you guys. I'll never turn my back on you, Pirates. Look back there. I know what you're looking for. You're looking for big, fat pay. You're looking for same-game parlays. And that's what I've got for you here. I'm going to start with the Rashee Rice. It's a random trio of, I'm going to do 3 separate same-game parlays. One with a lower total and the Chiefs at plus 3.5. A second one for Rashee Rice and the Chiefs money line. And then a third with an elevated receiving total and the Chiefs minus 2.5. So 3 varying payouts. And then lastly, give me the alt 10 plus rushing attempts for Lamar Jackson. And then the over 7.5 receiving yards for Justice Hill. That's coming in and over plus 400. And then if you need that plus 1,000, alt receiving on Justice Hill, 20 plus. And then the alt receiving on Rashee Rice, plus 1,000. There you have it. And that is what I have for you. Opening night, NFL, you know the deal. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel because how are you going to know when the next video comes out? Do you want to see more videos? Well, there's only one way you'll know. That's subscribe and click the notifications because I got another video coming out for this Eagles-Packers game. I'm going to have to dig. I'm going to have to go find a couple. But as always, you can come join me and the rest of the Sniffers on the Patreon where I will be adding to these things. I will, if I find some more stuff, cut up some more same game parlays for all you Pirates. Hopefully I see you guys over there. If not, I will see you for the next NFL video for that Friday game. Take it easy, and it's good to be back.
Burn them all!